She screamed at me over balsamic vinegar in front of guests. That's when I stopped loving her. 6 months later, divorce papers under a salt shaker. Me on a plane to Lisbon. She remarried fast. Vineyard wedding. Perfect until one guest's toast destroyed everything. Then she called me, screaming. I was 4,000 miles away, finally breathing. My name's Raymond Cole. I'm 54 years old, and 6 months ago, I did something most men my age only fantasize about during their morning commute. I divorced my wife of 28 years, liquidated everything I could carry in 2 suitcases, and moved to Lisbon, Portugal. No dramatic confrontation. No shouting match in the driveway. Just divorce papers under a coffee mug, my house keys on top, and a note that read, "Everything's yours. I'm gone." I was a commercial real estate developer back in Denver. Built strip malls, office complexes, the kind of structures that make cities look the same from coast to coast. Good money. Respect in the community. A beautiful house in Cherry Creek that my wife, Catherine, decorated like a magazine spread. From the outside, we looked perfect. From the inside, I was suffocating. Catherine worked as a luxury real estate agent. She sold multi-million-dollar properties to tech executives and oil money. And somewhere along the way, she started believing our life should match the lifestyle she was peddling. Nothing was ever enough. The granite countertops had to be replaced with marble. The marble had to be Italian. The Italian marble had to be from a specific quarry in Carrara that only 3 people in Colorado knew about. I stopped arguing around year 23. Started sleeping in my office around year 26. By year 28, I realized I was living with a stranger who happened to share my last name and my mortgage. We had 2 kids. Olivia is 27 now, works as an investigative journalist in Chicago. Sharp as a tack, inherited my skepticism and her mother's persistence. She saw through Catherine's act years before I found the courage to leave. Then there's Jason, 24, junior investment banker in New York. Smart kid, but he bought into his mother's version of reality. Thought I was the problem. Cold, distant, emotionally unavailable. All Catherine's words coming out of his mouth. The heart attack came 3 months before I left. Minor one, the kind that doesn't kill you, but whispers in your ear that the next one might. My cardiologist said the word stress 14 times in one appointment. I drove home that day, looked at Catherine screaming into her phone about staging a property, and realized something. I could die in this house, and she wouldn't notice until someone pointed out my body was blocking her walk-in closet. So I started planning. Quietly. Methodically. The way you plan anything important. I spent 6 months restructuring everything. My assets went into family trusts with Olivia as trustee. The properties got refinanced, layered with loans Catherine never knew existed. I made sure everything looked legitimate on paper, because it was legitimate, just strategically arranged. The house, the cars, the furniture, all hers, along with the debt, securing it all. The morning I left, Denver was still dark. I drove myself to the airport, parked in long-term, and didn't look back. By the time Catherine woke up and found my note, I was somewhere over the Atlantic, drinking terrible airplane coffee and feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Now I wake up to church bells in Alfama, drink espresso that actually tastes like something, and walk along the Tagus River watching ships that are going somewhere. I paint badly. I swim in the ocean. I've learned enough Portuguese to order wine and apologize for my terrible Portuguese. I haven't spoken to Catherine since I left. Didn't check her social media. Didn't ask mutual friends. I already knew how it would play. She'd grieve for a week, rage for 2, then find someone new to fill the void. And I was right. I got divorced and moved overseas. My ex-wife immediately married her new guy. I found out through a message from someone I barely remembered, but that's a story for later. Right now, I'm sitting on my balcony in Lisbon, watching the sunset turn the river into liquid gold, and I'm about to tell you what happened when Catherine's perfect new life collided with the past she tried to erase. Life in Lisbon had a rhythm I'd forgotten existed. No alarms. No conference calls. No Catherine's voice cutting through the morning, asking why I chose the wrong brand of organic coffee. Just me, the Atlantic breeze, and a city that had survived earthquakes and still knew how to take a breath. I'd been there 4 months when a message came through. I was at my usual spot, a small cafe in Barro Alto where the owner, Manuel, had stopped trying to correct my pronunciation and just smiled when I ordered. I was sketching the roofline across the street, something I picked up to keep my hands busy when my phone buzzed. Instagram DM. From Danny Reichert, a guy I knew back in college. We'd lost touch around the Clinton administration. His profile picture showed him graying at the temples, holding a golden retriever, looking satisfied with life. The message was short. Hey Raymond. Long time. Not sure if you care, but thought you should know. Catherine's getting married. Next month. Vineyard wedding up in Napa. Guy named Kenneth Bradshaw. Owns a bunch of car dealerships. Figured you'd want a heads up. Take care, man. I read it twice. Set my phone down. Picked up my espresso. The cup was warm against my palm. Solid. Real. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. I was curious. The way you're curious about a movie you walked out halfway through. Kenneth Bradshaw. I knew the name. Flashy guy. Always showed up at real estate industry events in expensive suits that were trying too hard. Drove a different luxury car every quarter like he was running a personal showroom. He'd flirted with Catherine at a charity gala 3 years ago. I remembered because she'd laughed too loud at his jokes, the kind of laugh that's meant to be noticed. I opened my laptop. Her Instagram was public, because of course it was. Catherine lived for visibility. The feed was exactly what I expected. Engagement photos that looked like they cost 5 figures. Her in white, him in navy, both of them holding champagne flutes against a sunset that was definitely photoshopped. The captions were poetry written by someone who'd never read poetry. When you know, you know. Finally found my forever. Some people are worth the wait. I scrolled through the comments. Friends congratulating her. Clients kissing up. A few brave souls asking variations of what happened to Raymond. Those comments have been deleted, but the gaps in the numbering gave them away. Then I saw the location. 7 Hills Vineyard. Napa Valley, California. Something clicked in my brain, cold and precise. I closed Instagram and opened my files. Took me 10 minutes to find it, buried in a folder labeled Old Projects. There it was. A brochure from 15 years ago. 7 Hills Vineyard. Investment opportunity. Catherine and I had driven up there one weekend, back when we still did weekends together. She'd hated it. Said it was too quiet, too rustic, not her style. I flipped through the PDF until I found the page I remembered. Section on event hosting. Technical specifications. And there, in small print under the acoustic engineering notes, outdoor venues may experience significant echo. Professional sound systems recommended for speeches and toasts. Test equipment advised. I sat back in my chair. Manuel came by with more coffee. I thanked him in terrible Portuguese. He laughed and patted my shoulder. The wedding was in 3 weeks. Catherine was marrying Kenneth Bradshaw at a venue with acoustics that could carry a whisper across 100 yards. And she'd just made it public knowledge, complete with venue details and a hashtag. I pulled up my contacts. Found a number I hadn't used in years. Richard Pelletier. Used to run a high-end catering company in San Francisco before he retired to Sonoma. I'd helped him restructure a deal that saved his business back in 2015. He told me if I ever needed anything, call. I called. He picked up on the 3rd ring, his voice warm and surprised. We caught up for 5 minutes. Then I explained what I needed. Not much. Just a small favor. A name added to a vendor list. 1 guest. Clean background. Legitimate reason to be there. Richard was quiet for a moment. Then he laughed, low and understanding. You know what, Raymond, he said. I think I can help you with that. Consider it done. I thanked him. Hung up. Finished my coffee. The sun was setting over the Tagus, painting everything gold and orange. I wasn't going to the wedding. I didn't need to, but I was going to make sure it was memorable. Olivia called me 2 days after I spoke with Richard. It was early morning in Lisbon, which meant late evening in Chicago. She never called without reason. My daughter inherited my tendency to be efficient with words. Dad, she said when I picked up. No greeting. I saw Mom's Instagram. The wedding. Kenneth Bradshaw. You know about this. I walked out onto my balcony, phone pressed to my ear. Below, a street musician was setting up his accordion. I know. And what? And are you okay? Her voice softened slightly, the way it did when she was trying to read between my lines. I'm fine, sweetheart. Better than fine. Your mother's choices aren't my concern anymore. Silence on the other end. Then, Jason's going. He's standing up as one of the groomsmen. That stopped me. I set my coffee down. He's what? Kenneth asked him personally. Mom played it up as this big honor. Blending families. New beginnings. Jason bought it completely. He thinks this proves mom's moved on to something better. I close my eyes. My son, 24 years old, smart enough to analyze market trends, but blind to his mother's manipulations. And you? I got an invitation. Very formal. Very Catherine. I sent my regrets. She paused. Dad, I've been doing some digging. Kenneth Bradshaw's dealerships. Something's not right. His financial disclosures are clean, but the pattern's wrong. I've seen this before when I investigated that Ponzi scheme last year. This is why Olivia was the best investigative journalist in Chicago. She saw patterns where others saw noise. What did you find? I asked. Nothing concrete yet, but his expansion timeline doesn't match his revenue reports. He opened 3 new locations in 18 months. That requires serious capital. His credit lines are maxed. I think he's been using new investor money to pay old debts. Classic pyramid structure. How long until it collapses? 3 months. Maybe 4. There's a lawsuit brewing too. Former business partner claiming fraud. It's being kept quiet, but I found the court filings. I looked out over the Tagus. A cargo ship was making its way toward the Atlantic, slow and deliberate. Does your mother know? Of course not. She sees the cars, the properties, the lifestyle. She never looks under the hood. Olivia's voice turned harder. Dad, Jason's tied to this. If Kenneth goes down publicly, it'll splash on everyone associated with him. Jason's bank won't appreciate their junior analyst being connected to a fraud case. What are you thinking? I'm thinking, she said slowly, that someone should make sure the right information surfaces at the right time. Before Jason gets in deeper. I smiled. My daughter, 27 years old, and already thinking 3 moves ahead. You know, I can't be involved in anything that looks like sabotage. I know, but you also taught me that truth doesn't need help. It just needs timing. She paused. I'm flying out there. To Napa. I told Mom I changed my mind. That I want to support her new beginning. Olivia. Dad, Jason's my brother. He's being an idiot, but he's my idiot. If this wedding's going to be memorable, I want to make sure he sees what's really happening. Before it's too late. I was quiet for a moment. Then, be careful. Always am. I could hear the smile in her voice. Oh, and Dad, that favor you called in with Richard Pelletier, the caterer, how did you? I'm an investigative journalist. It's literally my job. I saw the guest list edition. Clark Witherby. +1. Very subtle. She laughed. I like it. Old school. Elegant. I have no idea what you're talking about. Sure you don't. Love you, Dad. Love you too, sweetheart. After she hung up, I sat on my balcony for a long time. The musician below started playing something melancholy and beautiful. Tourists stopped to listen. The sun climbed higher. My daughter was going to her mother's wedding. Not to celebrate. To document. And somewhere in Napa, a man named Clark Witherby was about to become the most important guest no one remembered inviting. Jason called 3 days before the wedding. I almost didn't answer. We hadn't spoken since I left. He'd sent one email, short and cold, saying he was disappointed in how I'd handled things. No questions. No curiosity about my side. Just judgment wrapped in Catherine's talking points. But I answered. Dad. His voice was stiff, formal. The voice he probably used with clients. Jason. Silence stretched between us like a canyon. Finally, he spoke. I'm calling because I think you should know. I'm standing up at Mom's wedding. Kenneth asked me personally. Olivia mentioned that. She did. He sounded surprised. She's coming too. Changed her mind last minute. I thought maybe you. I had nothing to do with that. Your sister makes her own choices. More silence. Then, Kenneth's a good guy, Dad. Successful. Treats Mom right. He's everything she deserves. The words hung there. Everything she deserves. Everything I wasn't. I bit down on my first response and chose my words carefully. I'm glad your mother's happy, I said. Truly. Are you? The challenge in his voice was clear. Because it seems like you just bailed. Walked away from everything. From us. I walked away from a marriage that was killing me, Jason. Not from you or your sister. Could have fooled me. You left a note on the counter like you were quitting a job. I stood up, started pacing. Your mother and I were together for 28 years. 23 of those years, I was trying to be enough. Trying to meet standards that changed every time I got close. I had a heart attack, Jason. Minor, but real. The doctor told me stress was going to finish what genetics started. So I made a choice. By running away. By saving my own life. My voice was harder now. And if you think that's weakness, then your mother taught you well. He was quiet. I could hear traffic in the background. New York noise. Jason, I said, softer now. I know Kenneth. Not well, but enough. Just promise me something. When you're standing up there watching your mother get married, pay attention. Not to what people say, to what they don't say. What's that supposed to mean? It means the best investors ask questions. They verify. They look at fundamentals, not just performance. I paused. You're good at that. Don't stop doing it just because it's family. I don't need career advice, Dad. I'm not talking about your career. I'm talking about your judgment. I'll walk back to the balcony. Kenneth Bradshaw's built something impressive. Very impressive. Ask yourself how he did it. Ask yourself if the math adds up. You're trying to poison this. I'm trying to protect you. There's a difference. From what? From being collateral damage when performance doesn't match reality. Jason was silent for a long moment. Then, I have to go. Rehearsal dinner's in a few days. I need to prepare my toast. Jason. Goodbye, Dad. The line went dead. I set my phone down. Looked out over Lisbon. The city was waking up fully now, filling with sounds and movement and life. Somewhere in New York, my son was angry at me for leaving. Somewhere in Chicago, my daughter was packing a bag and preparing to document a disaster. And somewhere in Napa Valley, Catherine was about to marry a man whose empire was built on a foundation that was already starting to split. I picked up my phone again. Sent a single text to Olivia. Keep an eye on your brother. Her response came immediately. Already on it. The rehearsal dinner happened without me, but Olivia sent updates like she was filing a breaking news story. Short texts. Clinical observations. No emotion, just facts. Arrived. Catherine looks nervous. Kenneth's overcompensating. Jason's toast was about new beginnings. Didn't mention you once. Clark Witherby just introduced himself to Kenneth. Said he's an old family friend. Kenneth bought it. That last text made me smile. I was sitting in my Lisbon apartment, drinking port and watching the river traffic. The image of Kenneth Bradshaw shaking hands with a ghost was satisfying in ways I couldn't quite articulate. Olivia called an hour later. I could hear background noise, music and conversation bleeding through. He's perfect, Dad, she said quietly. I could tell she'd stepped outside. Clark, mid-70s, looks like somebody's grandfather. He's got this whole story about knowing Catherine's family for back east. Complete fiction, but he sells it beautifully. I don't know anyone named Clark Witherby, I said carefully. She laughed. Right. Of course not. Anyway, Kenneth introduced him to Catherine. She looked confused for about 3 seconds, then just smiled and played along. You know how she is. Never admits she doesn't know something. How's your brother? The pause told me everything. He's all in, Dad. He gave his toast about how Kenneth represents everything a real man should be. Successful, confident, committed. The subtext wasn't subtle. And you? I smiled and clapped and played the supportive daughter. Then I spent 20 minutes in the bathroom going through public records on my phone. Kenneth's dealerships filed for an extension on their quarterly reports. That's never a good sign. His primary lender reduced his credit line last month. And there's a former partner who's about to file a civil suit for fraud. I sat up straighter. How soon? The filing date's set for 2 weeks after the wedding. But the preliminary documents are already circulating in legal circles. If Jason's bank catches wind of it before the wedding, they might start asking questions about his judgment. Does Catherine know any of this? Are you kidding? She's too busy planning the reception choreography. She actually has a timeline for when people are supposed to cry during her vows. I saw the document. It's color-coded. I could picture it perfectly. Catherine turning her wedding into a production. Every moment staged for maximum impact. What about Clark? What's his role in all this? He's giving a toast tomorrow. During the reception, he specifically requested a spot. Said something about honoring old friendships and new beginnings. The wedding planner ate it up. Catherine approved it without asking questions. And Kenneth. Kenneth thinks it's a nice gesture. You know, traditional. Classy. He has no idea what's coming. Olivia's voice shifted, became more serious. Dad, what exactly did you tell Clark to say? I didn't tell him anything specific. Just suggested he speak from the heart. About truth. About foundations. About making sure what looks solid really is solid. That's beautifully vague. I learned from the best corporate attorneys. She was quiet for a moment. Jason's sharing a room with one of Kenneth's business partners. Guy named Todd. Investment banker type. I overheard them talking about a deal that fell through last month. Kenneth needed capital fast. Todd said something about creative accounting. Did Jason react? He laughed it off. Said all successful people push boundaries. That's what separates winners from employees. Her voice turned bitter. Mom's taught him well. Just watch out for him tomorrow. When things get interesting. Define interesting. I think you'll know it when you see it. After we hung up, I walked out onto my balcony. Lisbon was settling into its evening rhythm. Somewhere across the Atlantic, my daughter was preparing to watch my ex-wife's perfect day develop complications. And somewhere in Napa Valley, a man named Clark Witherby was preparing to say things that needed to be said. I slept well that night, better than I had in years. The wedding was beautiful. Olivia sent photos. Catherine in an ivory gown that probably cost more than my first car. Kenneth in a custom tuxedo, looking like he'd stepped out of a luxury car commercial. The vineyard draped in white fabric and flowers. Everything perfect. Everything staged. The ceremony went smoothly. Vows that sounded like they'd been written by a greeting card company. Readings about love and partnership and forever. Jason stood beside Kenneth, smiling like this was exactly how life should look. Then came the reception. Olivia's text came faster now. Speech is starting. Catherine's maid of honor just cried on cue. Kenneth's brother made a joke about his expensive taste. Everyone laughed. Jason's up next. This should be painful. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. Then my phone rang. Dad. Olivia's voice was tight, urgent. You need to hear this. I'm recording. She must have held her phone up because suddenly I could hear the reception. Jason's voice came through clearly, amplified by the venue's excellent acoustics. Kenneth Bradshaw is the kind of man we should all aspire to be, my son was saying. He's built an empire through hard work and vision. He treats my mother like a queen. He's shown me what real success looks like. To Kenneth and Catherine, may your future be as bright as your past is forgotten. As your past is forgotten. The jab was clear. I was the past. The failure. The thing they'd moved beyond. Applause. Clinking glasses. Then Olivia's voice came back on. Clark's up now. Here we go. The crowd noise settled. I heard someone clearing their throat. Then a voice, older, measured, carrying the kind of authority that makes people listen. Good evening, everyone. My name is Clark Witherby, and I've known the Bradshaw family for many years. The lie was delivered with perfect confidence. I wanted to take a moment to celebrate this union, but also to speak about something important. Truth. The reception went quieter. I could hear it through the phone. Catherine, you look absolutely radiant. Kenneth, you've clearly made quite an impression. He paused. I've been in business a long time. Seen a lot of deals, a lot of partnerships, and the ones that last are built on solid foundations. Not appearances, not promises. Foundations. Another pause. Longer this time. So I want to propose a toast. To Catherine and her second chance at happiness. And to Raymond, wherever he is tonight. Probably somewhere quiet, probably painting, probably finally able to breathe. His voice carried across the vineyard like it was designed to. Catherine, I hope you're sure you traded up, darling. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you might have traded solid ground for quicksand. Dead silence. The kind that makes oxygen feel thick. But hey, Clark continued, voice lighter now, what do I know? I'm just an old man who believes in asking questions. Like, how does someone open 3 dealerships in 18 months without traditional financing? Or why does a successful businessman need to restructure his credit lines every quarter? Or what happens when the music stops and everyone's looking for a chair? I could hear movement now. Confusion. Someone trying to get to the microphone. Anyway, Clark said, wrapping up smoothly, to the happy couple, may your forever be louder than your past, and may you both get exactly what you deserve. Then the line went chaotic. Voices overlapping. Someone shouting. Music starting up suddenly. Too loud. Try to cover the disaster. Olivia came back on, breathless. Dad. Holy hell. Catherine just ran out. Kenneth's face is purple. Jason looks like he's been hit with a truck. Half the room is on their phones. The other half is pretending nothing happened. Where's Catherine now? Outside. I could see her through the window. She's pacing. She just pulled out her phone. Olivia paused. Oh my God. She's calling someone. Dad, I think she's calling you. My phone buzzed. Catherine's name lit up the screen. A number I deleted but still recognized. I need to go, I told Olivia. Dad. Keep an eye on your brother. He's going to need you. I switch calls. Catherine. You. Her voice was shaking with rage. You had someone crash my wedding. You set this up. You planted that man. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm in Portugal. Don't lie to me. That speech. Those questions. That was you. Was it? Or was it just someone asking questions that should have been asked months ago? She was breathing hard. I could picture her, standing in her expensive dress, makeup perfect, world falling apart. You're a coward, Raymond. You always were. Couldn't face me yourself, so you sent some hired gun to ruin my day. Your day isn't ruined because of me, Catherine. It's ruined because you built it on sand and called it bedrock. I hate you. I know. But that's not my problem anymore. I kept my voice calm. Go back to your wedding. Smile for the cameras. Do what you do best. Perform. Kenneth will. Kenneth will what? Defend you? Explain those questions away? Catherine, the man can't even explain his own financials. Good luck explaining your choices. She made a sound halfway between a sob and a scream. Then the line went dead. I set my phone down, looked out over Lisbon. The city lights reflected on the river like stars that had fallen and decided to stay. Across the Atlantic, my ex-wife's perfect wedding had just become unforgettable. And somewhere in that chaos, my son was beginning to ask the questions he should have asked months ago. Truth doesn't need permission to speak. It just needs good acoustics and perfect timing. The video hit the internet within hours. Someone at the wedding, probably one of the younger guests, had recorded Clark's entire toast and uploaded it to TikTok. By morning Lisbon time, it had 500,000 views. By evening, over 3 million. The caption read, "Savage wedding toast destroys bride. Wait for the ending." The comment section was merciless. Did he just ask if she traded up? Brutal. The way her face changes at 0:47. She knows. This man woke up and chose violence. May your forever be louder than your past is the most elegant murder I've ever witnessed. Someone created a compilation video. Catherine's face frozen at the exact moment Clark said, "Traded up," zoomed in, slowed down. Her smile collapsing. Her champagne glass tilting. The realization spreading across her features like spilled ink. It became a meme within 24 hours. Catherine's wedding face showed up on Reddit, Twitter, Instagram. People used it to illustrate regret, bad decisions, instant karma. There were comparison videos, before and after photos. Think pieces about wealthy people and their performative relationships. Olivia sent me links. Dad, this is everywhere. Mom's name is trending. Her real estate firm's getting calls. Clients are asking questions. I scrolled through the content. Felt nothing. No satisfaction. No guilt. Just the distant observation of consequences arriving on schedule. Then Jason called. Dad. His voice was different. Smaller. We need to talk. I'm listening. Kenneth's dealerships are being audited. The lawsuit Clark mentioned? It was filed yesterday. Former business partner claiming Kenneth used investor money to cover personal debt. The banks are freezing his assets. He paused. My firm called me in. Asked about my relationship with Kenneth. Asked if I had any knowledge of his financial situation before the wedding. What did you tell them? The truth. That I didn't know. That I should have asked questions, but didn't. His voice broke slightly. They're putting me on administrative leave. Pending investigation. They said my judgment is compromised. I closed my eyes. I'm sorry, son. Are you? Because you knew. You knew this was coming. And you let me walk into it anyway. I warned you. Told you to look at the fundamentals. You called it sabotage. You could have told me the truth directly, instead of playing games with planted guests and cryptic warnings. Would you have listened? If I'd called and said Kenneth Bradshaw is a fraud, would you have believed me? Or would you have defended your mother and called me bitter? Silence. Long and heavy. I don't know, he finally said. Maybe you're right. Maybe I wouldn't have listened. He exhaled, shaky. Olivia's been helping me. She pulled all the public records. Show me everything. The lawsuits. The foreclosures. The pattern of fraud going back 3 years. It was all there. I just didn't want to see it. Your mother has that effect on people. She makes you want to believe her version of reality. She's not talking to me, Jason said quietly. I tried to call her. Ask if she knew about Kenneth's problems. She said I was betraying her. That I was choosing your side. Then she hung up. I'm sorry. The video's everywhere, Dad. Everyone's seen it. People at work. Friends. Everyone. They're all asking if that's my mom. if I knew the wedding was going to implode. He laughed, bitter and sharp. I was the groomsman praising Kenneth. That's in the video too. Me, calling him a model of success. It's a clip now. This aged poorly compilations. It'll pass. The internet moves fast. Will it? Because my career might not survive this. My judgment is publicly documented as terrible. Who's going to trust me with financial decisions when I couldn't see a fraud standing right in front of me? I wanted to tell him it would be okay, that he'd recover. But Jason was 24 and learning a hard truth. Some mistakes follow you. Some consequences don't care about intentions. Olivia's staying with me for a few days, he said. She's trying to help me figure out next steps. She said you taught her to verify everything, to never trust surface appearances. She's a good sister. She is. He was quiet. Then, Dad, I was wrong. About you. About why you left. I thought you were weak. But you weren't. You just saw what I couldn't. And you got out before it destroyed you. It almost did destroy me. I had a heart attack, Jason. Minor but real. Your mother's chaos was killing me. Slowly. I left to survive. I get it now. I'm sorry I didn't before. We talked for another 20 minutes. He asked about Lisbon. About my painting. About whether I was happy. I told him the truth. That I was. That leaving was the hardest and best decision I'd ever made. When we hung up, I stood on my balcony watching fishing boats return to harbor. The sun was setting, painting everything gold. My son had called me Dad again. Had apologized. Had seen through his mother's performance to the truth underneath. Across the Atlantic, Catherine's perfect wedding was viral for all the wrong reasons. Kenneth's empire was collapsing in real time. And my son was learning that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away from people who can't see you clearly. I poured a glass of wine, raised it toward the ocean. To truth, I said aloud, and to the courage to face it. Kenneth Bradshaw's dealerships filed for bankruptcy 3 weeks after the wedding. The lawsuit became public record. Investor fraud, embezzlement, creative accounting that made Enron look amateur. The news coverage was extensive. Catherine's name was in every article. Wife of disgraced businessman Kenneth Bradshaw. Luxury real estate agent married to fraud suspect. Her firm quietly asked her to take a leave of absence. Client calls dropped by 70% in a week. Olivia sent me the court documents. I read them over morning coffee on my balcony. The house Catherine and Kenneth had bought together, 3 mortgages deep. The cars, leased at rates that suggested desperation. The joint accounts, emptied by creditors within 48 hours of the bankruptcy filing. Everything Catherine thought she'd gained by marrying Kenneth disappeared faster than it had appeared. My phone rang. Olivia. Dad, you need to hear this. I just got off the phone with Mom. Her voice was tight, controlled. She's being sued. Kenneth's creditors found out she received gifts and transfers during their brief marriage. They're claiming she knew about the fraud, that she benefited from stolen investor money. Did she know? She swears she didn't. But Dad, the evidence is damning. Kenneth bought her a car 2 weeks before the wedding. $40,000. Cash. From an account that was funded by investor capital. Legally, she's liable. How much are they asking for? $280,000. Plus legal fees. Olivia paused. She doesn't have it. The house you left her? Remember all those refinances you did before leaving? The one she didn't know about. Exactly. Turns out the house is worth less than what's owed. She can't sell it without taking a loss. She can't borrow against it. She's trapped. What about Kenneth? Kenneth disappeared. Literally. His lawyers can't find him. There's speculation he fled to somewhere without extradition. Brazil, maybe. Or Costa Rica. She laughed, sharp and short. Mom married him 6 months ago. Now she's alone with his debts and a viral video that plays every time someone Googles her name. Has she asked you for help? She called Jason first. He told her he's dealing with his own career crisis, thanks to his association with Kenneth. Then she called me. Asked if I could loan her money. I said no. How did she take it? About as well as you'd expect. Said I was heartless. That family helps family. That she raised me better than this. Olivia's voice hardened. I told her she raised me to verify facts before making decisions. And that she should have verified Kenneth before marrying him. That must have gone over well. She hung up. Then texted that I'm just like you. Cold. Calculating. Incapable of real love. She paused. I took it as a compliment. I smiled despite myself. How's your brother? Better. His firm took him off administrative leave after 2 weeks. They reviewed everything, determined he had no actual knowledge of Kenneth's fraud. But Dad, his reputation took a hit. He's been reassigned to a smaller division. Less client contact, less visibility. It'll take years to rebuild trust. He'll do it. He's smart and resilient. He is. And he's learning. He called me last night and said he's been going through his old assumptions about you and Mom, reevaluating everything. He said he can't believe how blind he was. We all see what we want to see, until we can't anymore. Olivia was quiet for a moment. Then, Dad, there's something else. The viral video. It's being used in business schools now, as a case study in due diligence failures. How not to evaluate a partner. Mom's wedding is literally being taught as an example of what happens when you prioritize image over substance. That's unfortunate. Is it? Because I think it's justice. She spent decades building her life on appearances. Now everyone can see what happens when the foundation isn't real. We talked for another hour. She told me about a new investigation she was working on. Corporate fraud at a tech startup. Pattern recognition, she called it. Looking for the gaps between what people claim and what they can prove. You taught me that, she said. You, and your quiet exit. You didn't make noise. Didn't threaten. Didn't fight. You just protected yourself, documented everything, and left. That's real strength. After we hung up, I sat watching the Tagus River. A cargo ship was making its way toward the Atlantic. Slow, steady, deliberate. Catherine had lost everything she traded me for. Kenneth was gone. Her career was damaged. Her reputation destroyed. Her finances in shambles. And she'd done it all to herself by choosing flash over foundation. I didn't feel victorious. I felt tired and grateful. Grateful I'd walked away when I did. Grateful my heart attack had been a warning instead of an ending. Grateful for the quiet life I'd built on solid ground. My phone buzzed. A text from Jason. Starting therapy next week. Olivia recommended someone. I think I need to understand why I defended Mom for so long. Why I couldn't see what was right in front of me. Thanks for trying to warn me, even when I wouldn't listen. I typed back. Proud of you, son. That takes real courage. His response was immediate. I learned from the best. 8 months after the wedding, things started settling into a new normal. Kenneth Bradshaw was indicted on 17 counts of investor fraud. Catherine sold the house at a significant loss, moved into a small apartment in a neighborhood she used to call transitional. Her real estate license was suspended pending an ethics investigation. Jason called me every Sunday. We talked for an hour, sometimes more. He was rebuilding slowly. His firm moved him to a different division, working with smaller clients, less prestigious deals. He told me it was humbling but necessary. I'm learning to ask questions I should have asked years ago, he said during one call. Not just about finances. About people. About myself. That's growth. It's painful, but I think I needed it. He paused. I talked to Mom last week. She asked if I could help her with rent. I said no. How did that feel? Terrible. And right. She spent my whole childhood teaching me that family means sacrifice. But she never sacrificed anything herself. She just expected everyone else to carry her weight. You're learning boundaries. That's important. Olivia's been helping me with that. She's got boundaries like castle walls. He laughed. She told Mom straight up, I'm not your retirement plan or your emotional support animal. Figure it out. Your sister's always been direct. She has. I'm grateful for it now. He was quiet. Dad, I'm dating someone. Her name's Amy. She's a teacher. Nothing glamorous. Nothing flashy. She's just real. When I told her about the wedding disaster, about my mom, about everything, she didn't judge. She just asked if I learned from it. Smart woman. She is. I think you'd like her. Maybe when you visit the States, you could meet her. I'd like that. When are you thinking of visiting? Actually, I was thinking of coming to Lisbon for a week. If that's okay. I want to see where you live. Understand what you built after leaving. We set dates. 3 months out. Jason would come for a week. We'd explore the city together. I'd show him the cafe where I sketched, the beach where I swam, the quiet life that saved me. Olivia was thriving. Her investigation into corporate fraud won awards. She'd been promoted twice. When I told her Jason was visiting, she said she'd try to coordinate a trip around the same time. Family reunion in Lisbon, she said. That would have been unthinkable a year ago. A lot was unthinkable a year ago. True. Dad, I need to tell you something. I saw Mom last month. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically, just diminished. She asked about you. If you were happy. What did you tell her? The truth. That you're healthier than you've been in decades. That you paint and swim and have friends. That you smile more. Olivia paused. She cried. Said she made terrible choices. That she wished she'd listened when you asked for therapy. Regret's a hard teacher. It is. But I don't feel bad for her, Dad. She had every opportunity to choose differently. She chose image. She got exactly what she built. Catherine never called again. I saw her occasionally on social media. Friends still sent links. She'd posted about new beginnings and learning from adversity. The comments were mostly empty. A few supportive friends. Mostly silence. The viral video eventually faded from trending status. New scandals replaced it. But it was still there, permanent and searchable. A digital monument to choices and consequences. My heart was strong. My cardiologist in Lisbon said whatever I was doing, keep doing it. Low stress. Regular exercise. Good wine. Better company. I painted more. Got better at it. Not museum quality, but honest. Raw. One piece showed two figures walking away from each other. One toward chaos. One toward calm. I called it divergence and hung it in my living room. 14 months after I left Catherine, I met someone. Her name was Isabel. 50 years old. Portuguese. Owned a small bookshop near the Alfama district. We met when I wandered and looking for English novels, and she recommended Portuguese poetry instead. You live here now, she said in accented but perfect English. You should understand the language of this place. We started having coffee, then dinners, then long walks through neighborhoods she'd known her whole life. She knew nothing about my past. Didn't Google me. Didn't ask probing questions. Just accepted who I was in the present. You seem like someone who's been through something difficult, she said once. But you came out on the other side. That's what matters. Isabel was widowed. Her husband had died 5 years earlier. Cancer. She understood loss and rebuilding. We compared notes like architects discussing foundations. The second time you build something, she said, you build it better. Because you know what actually holds weight. Jason met her when he visited. They talked about books for 2 hours. At dinner that night, he pulled me aside. She's wonderful, Dad. Completely different from Mom. She actually listens when you talk. She does. Are you happy? I thought about it. The question I'd stopped asking myself years ago. Yes, I am. Really, genuinely happy. Good. You deserve that. Olivia came 2 weeks later. She and Isabel bonded immediately over their shared directness. No performance. No pretense. Just two women who valued substance over style. She's a keeper, Olivia told me. Don't screw it up. I'll try not to. I mean it, Dad. You've got something real here. Something Mom never gave you. Partnership. Actual partnership. 3 months later, Jason called with news. He'd been promoted. His firm recognized his rebuilt judgment, his careful approach, his willingness to ask hard questions. They said I'm the most thorough analyst they have now, he said, pride clear in his voice. Because I verify everything. Trust nothing at face value. I'm proud of you, son. I learned from you. The hard way. But I learned. Catherine eventually filed for bankruptcy. The lawsuits, the debt, the underwater house. She couldn't recover. Her parents helped her relocate to Arizona, far from California's memories. I heard she was working retail, selling furniture, a long way from luxury real estate. I didn't feel triumphant, just sad for wasted years. For the woman who could have been a partner, but chose to be a performer instead. Kenneth Bradshaw was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. Investor fraud, wire fraud, money laundering. The dealerships were liquidated. Victims recovered about 30 cents on the dollar. One evening, Isabel and I were sitting on my balcony. The sun was setting over the Tagus, painting everything in shades of amber and rose. She was reading Portuguese poetry aloud, translating passages for me. I was sketching her profile. You know what I love about you? She said suddenly. Tell me. You're present. Completely present. Not performing. Not planning 3 steps ahead. Just here. Took me 54 years to learn that. Better late than never. She smiled. Will your children visit again soon? Jason's planning Christmas here. Olivia might come for New Year's. They want to meet your kids. Blended families. At our age. She laughed. My mother would have opinions. Let her have them. We're building something real. That's all that matters. She reached for my hand. We sat watching the river turn from gold to silver as the sun disappeared. Ships passed, heading for open water. Seabirds called. The city settled into its evening rhythm. I thought about the man I'd been. Stressed, suffocating, dying slowly in a beautiful house with a woman who never saw him. That man felt like someone I'd known in passing, but never understood. This man, sitting on a balcony in Lisbon with a woman who knew his present better than his past, was someone I'd fought to become. Someone who chose peace over performance, truth over image, foundation over facade. My phone buzzed. Text from Jason. Amy said yes. We're engaged. Can we have the wedding in Lisbon? Small. Real. Just people who matter. You and Isabel could help plan it. I showed Isabel the message. She smiled, eyes bright. Tell him yes, she said. Tell him we'd be honored. I typed back. Congratulations, son. Lisbon sounds perfect. We'll make it beautiful. The right kind of beautiful. His response came immediately. Thanks, Dad. For everything. For showing me what real strength looks like. I love you. I set my phone down. Looked at Isabel. At the river. At the city I'd chosen to call home. This is good, I said. Yes, Isabel agreed. This is very good. And for the first time in longer than I could remember, I wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. Wasn't planning an exit. Wasn't bracing for chaos. I was just living. Fully. Honestly. On solid ground.